just flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings forward a life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked into town beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it.
All right, 14:20 in the morning for this August the 17th, 2024. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com today and save till $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all their great articles and great podcasts. It's the Corner Booth Podcast. No credentials required. And my favorite guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports every Tuesday night. Check your local listings for times and space and everything else going on there at Craft Brewed Sports. Great podcast they have going on over there. Anyway, it's been a month and a half since I've been on the air for a podcast. Let it be 1420 Sports Bar or for 1420 in the morning. I took a role with the Lethbridge Bulls, as many of you may know or may not know, this summer. And if you're going to jump in, you might as well jump in with both feet. Is kind of my saying. One of those deals that if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. And I did it. Whether I did everything right or if I did everything wrong, I guess we'll never know. But thank you very much to Back It Up Binge podcast. Thanks for listening to the show and watching this morning. If you're going to jump in with both feet. And that's what I did this summer. Whether I did everything right or wrong or indifferent, it's up for debate. But it's a lot of fun with Lethbridge Bulls, WCBL, over this summer. Had a successful season on and off the field, so I didn't get the title that we were hoping for in Lethbridge. And that series, actually, that league's going to decisive championship game tonight between Moose Jaw and Okotoks, so that should be a fun one to watch later on tonight. But you're not here to listen to that one. And before we get into today's topic, yesterday, me and the wife, because that's what you do when you're 50 years old, I guess, is you go and play mini golf at the Evergreen here in Lethbridge. Went and played some putt, had a couple of beers going around the course, and Evergreen Golf Center has a driving range attached to it, mini golf course, a golf course, the whole 9 yards. And I noticed that there were some guys taking golf lessons. And I'm all about self-improvement. Don't get me wrong. If you can improve yourself on a daily basis, whatever it might be, on certain things, I get it. But on certain things, I don't understand it. There was a guy taking golf lessons, and I kind of shook my head a little bit. And Deanne, of course, knows how skeptical I can be about a lot of things. And I kind of had a good laugh about a guy taking golf lessons. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, how much better could he possibly get? And for to what end is this guy trying to get to? Is he going to end up fourth on his flight in the senior men's Open at his local golf course? Is he going to be the club champion, fifth runner-up? Like, what the hell is he trying to do? I just don't understand. Like, how much better can you possibly get with your weekly golf lessons at the age of 50, 55, or whatever the guy might have been? I mean, I play rec hockey now and then. I don't go and take hockey lessons at the age of 50 to try to improve myself. I go out and I play, I have a few beers, have a good time, and I go home. Like, what's this guy trying to do? I don't understand this obsession with guys trying to get better at golf. How much better are you going to get, and to what end? I will never understand it. Like, guys who play mixed slow pitch, or guys who play slow pitch, they don't go take baseball lessons. Yeah, they might go to a batting cage, which is also weird when you're playing mixed slow pitch to try to get to be the master and everything else with your titanium bat. But I just found it really weird that this guy was taking golf lessons. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't going to get any better. It's just one of those things I thought was a little bit odd. This guy was doing that. He's the kind of guy that would remind me a little bit about a person who feels the need to tell you what their score is after a game when you don't even know he was where he was golfing or why he was golfing. He's probably the same kind of guy who decides to tell you about his fantasy football league team. Well, I can't wait till that starts coming up again in the next week or so. All that crap that starts happening again. I watch NFL as most of you know, but I'm not a guy who plays fantasy football or gives a shit. And trust me, people, if you feel a need to tell people who your starting quarterback is on your fantasy football team, you're sadly mistaken. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Even the people in your league, they don't want to hear about your team either. They know who's on that list. They have access to all the apps and things and spreadsheets on and on it goes. Nobody outside of that space between your ears cares who's on your fantasy football team. That is coming up right away here on it, and nobody cares. Okay, just keep it to yourself. Play, I don't care. Have a good time. Whatever. Have a good time playing fantasy football. Do what you think you got to do, but trust me, nobody cares and nobody wants to hear one more word about your team, especially your spouse. She doesn't care. Okay, she doesn't. So that's a word of advice from me to you here at 14:20 in the morning. 4 coffees worth of sports talking a whole lot more on this Saturday morning. Anyways, the podcast is back. We'll get things going. I got things have changed a little bit in my life with things and people and jobs and stuff. So it's going to be a bit of a different format in the foreseeable future. But I got Aaron Riley from Brutally Honest Sports. He's going to be joining me on Tuesday night, I believe it is. But we'll get to the rest of the schedule later on and how we're going to proceed with 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Anyways, earlier this week, John Tavares handed over his captaincy to the Maple Leafs, hold his captaincy over to Austin Matthews, a goal scoring phenom for the Maple Leafs. I guess there was a meeting when the season came to a screeching halt, as it does every year in Leafland, that John Tavares was going to hand over the captaincy to the heir apparent in Austin Matthews. And it was not a big surprise because it almost happened, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And then Matthews got into some trouble with some people in Arizona, and he scared a security guard something. So they decided not to give him the captaincy back then. But it was only a matter of time before Austin Matthews became the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I thought I filed this under the who gives a shit meter. The biggest thing, if that's the thing that you think is going to put you over the top, is to sew a letter onto someone's jersey other than the guy you've had it on for the last 5 years. You're sadly mistaken. The captaincy is the most overrated thing in professional sports. I don't care. I know people are going to at me about this, about Derek Jeter being the captain. I thought that was stupid. I think that Aaron Judge being the captain, I think that's stupid. There's a reason why only 2 baseball teams have a captain, and it's ridiculous that people put this much effort into having a captain. All it does is sell jerseys in the store, and that's all a captain does for a hockey team. Everybody knows who the leader of a hockey team is. Everybody knows who the leader of a baseball team. It's ridiculous to have all these captains and everything else going on. Football has their captains, but if it's so important, why is there 6 of them? I'll never understand why there needs to be 6 captains. I know they have a roster size of 84, 85 guys, whatever it might be, but everybody knows who the leader of that team is. And to have 6 guys, that's a bit of a mistake, because if you're going into the coin toss at the midfield at the 50-yard line with 6 people, and you can't decide by then what if it's heads or tails, you're going to need an odd number, because an even number of people, you got to vote, and it's going to be 3-3. Then you got a heck of a mess. So the captain is the biggest waste of time and the biggest waste of effort that these people and these teams and the effort that gets talked about. It doesn't make any sense to me as to why people put so much stock into the captain of a hockey team is. I'll give you a little hint here, folks. 99% of the time, the best player on the team is the captain. Surprise, surprise. It's one of those things. Very rarely throughout sports history, through hockey history, is it not the best player on the team. It doesn't happen very often. And then now, and the only time that the captain really has any weight to what he's doing out on the field or on the ice is when they got to talk to an official. That's the only time. The captain of a hockey team is the only person supposed to talk to the referees or the linesmen about things, and he relays stuff from the coach over to the referee, and that's the only time that a captain actually does anything. Other than in hockey, they're actually the only person who accepts the trophy that's not the owner of the team when the championship is done. That's the only thing a captain actually does. Everybody knows who the captain of a team is, or who the leader of the team is. They don't need an iron-on their jersey. It's the most ridiculous thing that people put stock into it. And even me talking about it's ridiculous. But I thought I would just weigh in on it a little bit, because if the Leafs think that their only deal is, and their only shortcoming is having is having a lesser captain. They're sadly mistaken once again. They've had some great captains in Leaf history. Go back to Wendell Clark, go back to Daryl Sittler, you go back to whoever. They won one playoff round in last how many years? That isn't the problem with the Leafs. Having a new captain isn't going to change things. And what's it say about John Tavares? They shouldn't have had him over the years. So he's the elephant in the room, saying he was the guy behind closed doors. He was the guy, supposed to be leading this team. So was that a mistake 5 years ago that all of a sudden he became the guy to look after things? No, it's ridiculous that they would do this and pull the rug from under him and now have a guy that was the captain all of a sudden not. It's ridiculous having that much of a press conference and everything else to say that this is our new leader. This is the missing link, that why we've only won one playoff round in the last 15, 16 years, whatever it's going to be. Here's the reason why. So a guy who was already on our team for 8 years now. But you know what? We're going to put a C on him, and that's going to change the fortunes of our hockey club right on through. This guy who's always been on our team, who hasn't been vocal. He hasn't done what he was supposed to do. He's the guy. This is going to put us over the hump. Getting Craig Berube as the coach, great idea. 100%. Perfect. Done. New coach, new ideas, but taking a C off of a veteran, a guy who's well respected around the league, onto Austin Matthews, who is their best player. He's a goal scoring phenom. There's no getting around that. He's a great hockey player, but having him to get the rug pulled under him of Tavares and putting it on to a guy who doesn't really show a whole bunch of emotion other than when he does score a goal, like most kids do nowadays. That's the only thing. I don't understand why they would do that and why that makes such a big deal. Who has the C? You go back to even the movie Major League. Everybody knew who the captain of the Cleveland Indians, I say it was the Cleveland Indians back there, Jake Taylor. When Dorn screwed up, Taylor went to him. They didn't have a C on his jersey. And in baseball, they don't have C's on anybody's jersey. I think it's Judge and then the guy in Kansas City. I think it's only two captains in baseball. They don't have a C on their jerseys. It's ridiculous. Having this much weight on somebody who's the leader of a team, if you don't know who the leader of your team is, that's the problem. If you have to point somebody out and say, this guy is the leader, this guy's the one who's going to lead us to the promised land, that's the problem you have. If you need a captain, if you need something like that, you're going nowhere fast. The best player on the planet, and it ain't close, Connor McDavid is the captain because he is the best player on that team. Is he the most vocal in the dressing room? Who knows? You go back to the 2003 Edmonton Oilers, 2004, whatever year it was, when they almost won the Stanley Cup out of nowhere, and Jason Smith was the captain of that team. Jason Smith wasn't the most vocal guy. Jason Smith's a warrior, hell of a defenseman. But Chris Pronger was the leader of that hockey team. The C means nothing. The C means so much. Why would the Vancouver Canucks put it on a goalie with Roberto Luongo, who couldn't go down the other end of the ice to talk to the freaking referee because the rules of where he can go? The captain is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense why that much stock gets put into it. Just get rid of it altogether. Football has 6 per team. Why? Who's the leader? Well, one of these guys. Go talk to one of these guys. It doesn't work that way. Everybody knows that when they go into a locker room, who the boss is, who's in charge, what's going on. And I don't even think that's a thing as much anymore because of the way teams are constructed and the way it's free agency. You don't build a team. It takes a long time for teams to get assembled. Yeah, you might be the guy who at the press conference who talks first, or you might be the guy at the press conference who invites the shiny new toy and the free agent. And you might be that guy, like Judge probably did with Soto last year when they got him, and like Jeter used to do. And you're just the face of the franchise. But being it's not anything a leadership role. You know who the leader of your team is, and just because you put there's quiet leaders, there's silent leaders, there's people who you don't even know who they are. Who got a C on their jersey. They're just the best player on that team, or they got the gift of the gab. It's ridiculous to think that that's going to change things. And for the Leafs to parade out Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark and on it went in that press conference last week was a little bit embarrassing because they didn't win anything either. Nothing. So great captains in Leaf history. Add another one to the list. Those guys are going to get their names in the rafters, get their jerseys hung up. They didn't do a damn thing. Didn't do anything. Do you think he's going to give a shit 10 years from now and have his jersey up on the wall in his basement down in the Toronto, wherever he's going to hang his hat up? Do you think he's going to give a shit that he was a captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Yeah, it's a nice honor now, but you're like, well, all right, yeah, I was the captain. Didn't win anything. It means nothing. Like to be the captain, yeah, it's a great honor, and like they say all the obligatory things, but it doesn't do you any good unless you win. Winning's hard, and this is not putting you over the hump. It's not putting you back in charge of anything. It's not putting you. You still have to answer to everybody else. You have to talk to the media after every game. But it was Matthews anyways. Crosby does it because he's the lead. He's the leader of the team. If he didn't have that C in his jersey, he's the best player on that team. He'd still be doing it. He'd still be doing it. Captains, assistant captains, on and on it goes. It makes zero sense to me. Baseball has the one guy. I'm not sure what basketball has. Football, like I said, has 6 captains. Some teams actually have 7, which goes against the rules. But what are rules? Who cares when it comes to a guy has a C in a jersey? All it does is inconvenience the person in the locker room. It inconveniences the person in the locker room who has to sew the things on the jerseys. The trainer or the athletic staff or whoever might be doing it. It's ridiculous. It sells jerseys. People are so stupid. They probably went and got a brand new jersey with a C on it that Matthews for $199.99 from Fanatics. Things going to fall apart in a week and a half when they could have just went down to the local thrift store, got a C, and sewed it on themselves. That's how stupid people are when it comes to this crap. Yeah, I got a new Austin Matthews jersey with a C on it. Who cares? It's stupid. Having these press conferences and naming these guys and on it goes. The new captain of this team, the new captain of that team. You know when it matters? June, when they call the guy's name to get a Stanley Cup. That's when it actually matters. The rest of it does not matter. Austin Matthews this is when it'll matter. It'll never happen. Never. Shouldn't say never. Never is a long time because they did add a couple of nice players with Ekman Larson and Tanev. So that was a thing that didn't get enough press this summer. But putting a C on a guy's jersey, well, that's the end of the day. By adding a couple of players, we won't talk about that. Who cares? The only time it will matter who the captain of a team is, especially the Toronto Maple Leafs, if in June Gary Bettman happens to say, Austin Matthews, come and get the Stanley Cup. That's the only time it will ever matter who the captain of a freaking team is. It doesn't matter one bit. I can't believe this revved up on a Saturday morning. I guess I've had a lot to say, been off the air for a month and a half. But it's one of those things. You just wonder how this gets to this level. I know Toronto's the center of the universe in the hockey world, and New York's the center of the universe in the baseball world with the Yankees, and so anything that happens gets a bit of gets exasperated a lot more. So you hear about it a lot more, but you don't even know who most captains are on hockey teams anymore. They bounce around. This guy goes here and that guy goes here. I mean, the Calgary Flames, when they won the Stanley Cup back in '89, they actually had co-captains. So that's how much the captaincy mattered back then when they had Jim Poplinski, Tim Hunter, and Lanny McDonald. And like everybody knew that Lanny was the captain that year, but he took some nights off because of his age and everything else. So needed to put a C on somebody. Got to have a C on somebody. Got to see the baby. It's just funny that the way that all turned out, the way that worked out, and the way that how much weight gets put on these captaincies and assistant captains, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like I said, until they decide who won the Stanley Cup and who's going to accept it, which is nice in hockey that they do that. It's not an owner going up to get the coveted trophy because it's the owner's babies. I fully understand that, but that's the only time that having a C on someone's jersey actually matters. It's the best player on the team that 99 times out of 100 will get that C on their jersey. If they're the leader on the ice, who knows? If they're or in the dressing room, who knows? If they're quiet, who knows? Just because a guy has it doesn't make him the leader of the team. It really, really doesn't. Like if it mattered so much, like Ovechkin wouldn't be the captain of the Washington Capitals, because I'm going to guarantee you. He's not really there for the betterment of the Capitals right now. He's there to get the goal scoring record and everything else. So if a captain actually mattered and the team actually mattered, he would offer this illusionary memento or token to somebody else for the betterment of the team. And so the captain, like I said, I'm not a big fan of these things. I think it's ridiculous, but that's my thoughts, and it's my podcast. So I'll say what I want. Whether you guys agree with me or not, I do care. So make sure you guys get back to me. Guys, drop us a line at 1420sports@gmail.com or drop us a line on all our social media accounts. And make sure you follow subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. We're getting this thing going again. I got another segment coming up here on 1420 in the morning. Doing a show, like I said, with Aaron Riley on Tuesday. Got a hold of an old friend of the show, Captain Lou, the Captain Lou Extravaganza, 24-ounce sports. Going to talk with him later on in the week. Like I said, the show's taking a bit of a turn from what you guys are used to, but we appreciate all the support you guys have given forgiveness over the little hiatus we had here, and waiting to people keep asking me when we're back. But right now we're back, baby, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of changes coming up, a lot of exciting things coming up for the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For Beer with Sports Talk and a whole lot more. Here's a little word from our friends over there at SeatGeek.
SeatGeek presents Boomstick Lady. SeatGeek helps her find the perfect seat so she can sit where her boomsticks make the biggest boom. Oh, okay. SeatGeek handles the tickets so fans can fan.
All right, thanks to SeatGeek. Use promo code 1420pod over there at SeatGeek and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. This segment is brought to you by Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to righteousfelon.com for all their great craft jerky and everything else they got over there, and support the Belly Up Sports Network. Actually, if it's Belly Up, use promo code Belly Up and get 15% off over there at Righteous Felon Jerky, the greatest jerky in the land. Getting done the baseball season, everything's kind of wrapping up. Little League World Series is on. That kind of signifies almost the end of summer. It's the way it kind of works out. Baseball wrapped up around here for Leopards, Bulls, and everything else, kind of getting down the nitty gritty, not just like with travel ball and things and on it goes. I guess it never really ends with that travel ball crap. But I had a laugh earlier this week when a guy by the name of Skip Westfall posted this thing. I'll put the link up on our Facebook and Twitter accounts just so make sure you guys can see this. But he had this thing about a kid who came up to bat with the sunglasses and the elbow pad and the shin pad and the oven mitts in the back and two in the back pocket and the two this and that and everything else. And I had to laugh because there's I shouldn't say one kid. There's a lot of kids who do that throughout baseball in Southern Alberta that I've umpired, and in Montana and where else I might have been in my travels throughout the years with baseball, and how it's gotten to this point where every kid's got everything in their back pocket and 50 pairs of these and 2 pairs of that. My word of advice to, because the people who listen to my show probably isn't that demographic of the people who I'm talking about, but it's the people that buy this crap for these kids. It's got to come. A little word of advice, parents: stop it. You're spoiling your kid. It looks ridiculous. It's not how the game's supposed to be played. And little Billy, little Johnny, little whatever their name is going to be okay if he doesn't have an oven mitt to slide into first base, back into first base head first when he's trying to get picked off for the 14th consecutive time. They don't need it. And it's stupid. It delays the game, and it's the old entitlement thing that a lot of kids think that they need to have. And the parents, it's not even the kids, because when I was a kid, I wanted stuff too. Like I wanted all kinds of things. It's just one of those things. My dad just said no, or my mom said no. It's very simple. So you've got to put this on the parents a lot more than the kid. But then the kid sees it from another kid, and the kid sees it from another kid. So it's just the way it all kind of works out. It looks really, really, really stupid. And this Skip Westfall, he made a parody video of this kid who came to bat with the shin guard, the knee guard, the elbow pad, 2 sets of batting gloves. He had the chain, he had the glasses, another pair of sunglasses in his back pocket, and it wasn't too far off from the truth. And there's a few kids, and there's one in particular. This one really kind of, it's like, oh, I kind of think I know who that kid might be. It was a parody, so it wasn't anything to do with the kid from around this area. But I was just like, holy Christ, the truth behind that is something else. And you watched it, and you're like, this kind of has to stop. And I got laughing about the sliding mitt, and I made this comparison a lot of parents around the Spitz Stadium this summer, and like I see these kids sliding in with the oven mitt into first base or into second base or wherever it might be, and I got thinking, Jesus, guy by the name of Ricky Henderson didn't need one of those. Why does little Jimmy need one? Why does Jimmy need two pairs of batting gloves, like one to steal and one to hit? And the kid's hitting 143, so he barely gets on base anyways. And a lot of times these kids slide feet first regardless. So I don't know what the oven mitt is for. I just don't understand why these parents allow it. Another thing that I got a kick out of, like when this kid got a hit, and all of a sudden he's hitting 148 on the season with a bunt single because he's not very good. He does the hands across the chest, saying for my team. Most of these kids don't even know what team they're playing for. With all this travel baseball, they go from team to team over the weekend. There's such a lack of team with all these kids and all these travel ball teams and everything else. I know it sounds like old man get off my lawn, but it kind of made a lot of point that Skip Westfall made of this video. Like I said, it's kind of an eye opener and a shocker that it's not just me making fun of this and me talking about it. I just find it crazy that these kids get all of this stuff. Pitchers are throwing 48 miles an hour, so the exit velocity off their bat is 22. Like how much could a foul ball off your foot hurt at that point? Yeah, you could break your foot. I get it. An odd thing. I'm a guy on the Bulls that happened to him this summer. An errant foul ball off his toe that ended up breaking his toe, so he was out for the better part of the season. But all these kids who wear these elbow pads and everything else, and why can't a kid? I asked this question when I was on the field a lot this summer. Like a kid finally gets a base hit, he's got an elbow pad on, a shin guard on, and 2 batting gloves. So he gets all the way to second base, hits a double. Why can't he run the rest of the way with that crap on? And how heavy are this kid's batting gloves where he can't just put the freaking things in his back pocket instead of having the coach run across the field, put them in his pocket? Why can't a kid just carry these gloves? He got all the way to second. Why can't he just keep going? It slows the game down, and it's an expense you don't need. Parents, you have to start saying no. You have to start quitting keeping up with the Joneses, having all these game changer and videos and this and that and walk-up music for all these kids. Like, I don't understand it, and it starts at a young age. And another thing I want to touch on that made me laugh, like earlier this summer, I got asked to go and help with a little league game. It was a Friday night at, 6 o'clock or something. And just 10, 11-year-olds, 11, 12-year-old kids. And they're all nice and polite and fun. And they were having a good time. And the parents were all having a good time. And then I got thinking, when do these kids turn into little pricks? Because at 11, 12, they're all pretty good. They're having a good time. They're very polite. Thank you, sir. They're not cussing out the umpire, saying thank you, Blue. But then when you get to the next level, when they're like 14, 15, they just turn into little arrogant pricks. And I'd like to know when that occurs. And then later on, I mean, I guess I was too when it comes down to it. And then later on, when they're 22, 23-year-old baseball players playing college baseball or maybe onto the WCBL or wherever it might be, they seem to be pretty good guys. Like, where is that occurrence where it all changes? It's odd to me that there is a thing. But my advice to you parents out there is really honest to God, you have to quit it. You have to get control of your kids. You have to get control of this showing everybody up attitude. And I get it. I sound like an old man. Get off my lawn here. But it's a bad look for your kids. It's a bad look when they have the arrogance that they have. It's a bad look for the team. It's a bad look when this kind of stuff happens. Like, it was a really funny video poking fun at not just the kids who do it, but it's a funny video letting at the way the coaches allow this stuff to happen, the way the parents allow it to happen on a daily basis. It just doesn't make any sense to me how baseball has changed from one extreme to the other. Was the other way good where you couldn't have any fun? No. Was this, and is this way fun? I don't think it's fun. I think it's grandstanding and ridiculous. I think it's a bad look. I think it's borderline embarrassing what some of these kids get away with, what some of these kids do. But it comes back to the parents and the coaches. They have to be the adults in the situation. Say, you know what? Stop it. Just stop it. If they aren't doing it on TV, but in college baseball, sometimes they do. But if they aren't doing it there, if Ricky Henderson, the greatest to ever play the game, in my opinion, if he wasn't doing it, yeah, and Rick had some swagger. Rick didn't mind getting out of the box, and Rick didn't mind telling everybody how great Rick was. Rick didn't care about John 316 because Rick was hitting 320, right? So, but if those guys aren't doing it, you get pimping out of the box a little. I get it a little bit. You're excited, and if you don't want to have someone bat flip on, you don't give up a 3-run home run. I get it, but this grandstanding and this equipment and on that these kids get, and the way that they're just entitled, little Billy and little Johnny, parents, you guys have to put an end to it. It's not good for minor sports. It's not good for what minor sports is supposed to be about. It classifies the game. It classifies everything. It puts people in a different pecking order, and it's a bad look. And most of the kids who do that, they turn out to be pretty bad kids. They're the kids who are doing this with all the stuff. They aren't good kids. And I'm saying that as an official. I'm saying that it's on the field. I'm saying that as a person who's around the ball field a lot. And you watch these kids who are doing it. They're usually a problem, and they don't usually turn out to be very good. So parents, you guys got to put an end to it, put a stop to it, because it's a bad look for you. Anyways, there's my little rant for the day here on 1420 in the morning. Coming back at you, 1420sports@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere else. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel today. Get a little talk when you guys get back what the plan is for the show, and we'll just finish this one off.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Thanks to Righteous Felon Jerky for being a sponsor of Belly Up Sports and the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 Beer Sports Talk and a whole lot more. So the plan is on Sundays from here on in, I'm going to be doing the Yankee Week review. Going to bring that one back. Yankees are in first place again. They have trouble hitting with runners scoring position, but Jim, fan of the van, we'll make sure we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll have you on the show next week, short notice. I know your Pittsburgh Steelers are playing late, so you're probably getting down to that. So Sundays will be the Yankee Week reviews. Monday, I won't be putting a show on. It's Deanne's second 21st birthday. So one of those things. So we're gonna have a little shaker here for her, a little gathering for her birthday. Tuesday got Aaron Riley coming on, and then we'll have the Monday, Thursday rotation like we always had. And then on Saturdays, we're going to be doing the 1420 in the morning. I want to have that as kind of not our flagship show. I'd like to make this one into we'll get good guests and make a person's Saturday morning sports go-to show every Saturday here from 1420 World Headquarters. So a few changes. There's an elephant in the room that I may or may not discuss at a later date, but right now is really not the time to talk about that. But anyways, thanks for everybody who watched this morning on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you were. Little rant about captains. Go back and listen to it on the podcast form. Talk to people about the show. Get it out there. Go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code 1420pod. Thank you very much for everybody who watched and listened and got us back doing this again. Go to 1420sports at .com actually and check what some other stuff we got going on there. Change is coming. Things are good. We're back in the saddle again. Thank you very much for watching today. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a great day, folks, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 Beer with Sports Talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.